So welcome to another drizzly morning in Germany. I'm at the Flixbus station in Bonn. That's not my bus. My bus is actually delayed, thankfully, because I was a little late coming out of my hostel, and then the Uber I ordered took an age to get to me. For some reason, he had another passenger to drop off, which delayed him by about 15 minutes, which is ridiculous. So I don't know if that's an Uber problem or the driver accepting a ride when he shouldn't have, but whatever. The fact is my bus was delayed by about 20 minutes, and so I'm here in plenty of time, just waiting for it to show up, and then we'll be able to get on the road to Stuttgart Airport.
The next stop here is Stuttgart Airport, Stuttgart.
Well, finally made it to Stuttgart Airport. Only a little bit late. It was 35 minutes late leaving Bonn, which was good because of the taxi debacle I had. But we're only about 13 minutes late getting here. Would have been early after some roadworks. So we're pretty good. It's still raining, which is annoying, but hopefully that'll clear up for tomorrow. So I'm now going to go into the airport, find whichever public transportation I need. I know my hostel is near an U-Bahn station, so I just have to figure that out, and first comes to worst, I'll just get a taxi and get straight there. So we'll see, got some time to get down to the hostel. And welcome to Schlossplatz, part of the historic Stuttgart. Just had to walk down from my hostel all the way downhill all the way, so it's going to be uphill all the way back. Probably get a tram tomorrow when I start sightseeing. But it's coming up to 8 o'clock now, so I'm going to have a look around for some eatery, beer or two, and then I'll head back for an early-ish night. I want to get a decently early start tomorrow. It's actually quite warm now. When I arrived, it was pouring with rain, but it seems to have cleared up, and it's actually quite mild and pleasant. I probably didn't need this jumper I'm wearing. So, food and beer, and then we can get started in the morning. So I just realised I've just been having a little wander around the city centre and hadn't actually said anything about the meal. And the meal was actually good. It was basically macaroni cheese, pretty much that. Except it wasn't macaroni. The noodles were kind of like a very thin, narrow tagliatelle that was chopped up and then put into a mound. It was quite dry as well, but it was good. It tasted nice. I really like the garlic bread. But yeah, it was macaroni cheese. It was supposed to be a Schwabian dish, but I don't think it was particularly traditional at all. But it was the cheapest meal on the menu, so it's value for money as well. So I've just had a little wander around. It's getting late now. Close to, what time is it? Let me just check the. Yeah, it's 9:45 now. So I am going to meander back to the hostel and probably get an early night and try and get up early in the morning to make an early start. So I'll see you in the morning. Here is my room. Very spacious. Some interesting artwork going on. Some posters from different events that have happened in the city, I guess. And this is my bed, bed number 1. There's a mixture of bunk beds and single beds. And no one's actually here at the moment, so that's why I'm taking the opportunity. These look really solid. Again, all bars, bad enough having flat steps, but bars, not good. But these are rock solid frames here. These have a little bit of privacy by accident. God knows there. Storage under the space under the beds. There's a TV. And what room do we have here? Hey, this is the bathroom. I'll maneuver it around there. Plenty of space, nice and modern. So that means the next one here is the shower. Bathroom and shower. Not on. Soap there. Soap in the shower, yep, soap and hair gel in the shower. So this is a very nice room. Those mattresses look really thick as well. Let's give it a little prod. Yeah, that's good. So this is the room. Very modern, really nice. I really like the design. See what the view's like. It's just a street, nothing special. But yeah, this is a pretty good looking room so far. Looks like there's a couple of other people. This is a mixed dorms. I think it looks like one of those beds is female, but there's a rack here and some storage as well. So looking good so far. So I might just. Good morning. It's finally bright and sunny on this trip. It's about 8 o'clock. I finally got an early start and I'm heading into the city centre. A very comfortable night's sleep. It was a very nice bed actually. So it's so nice that I've actually just taken the risk and I'm wearing shorts today. It's probably going to get back to 18 degrees or something like that, so it could be quite pleasant. Hopefully no rain, as I think I've actually lost my umbrella, which I keep doing on holiday. So first things first, I've had a coffee in the hostel. I didn't have breakfast included with my booking, so I'm going to try and find somewhere to get a quick pastry. So if you do go to the hostel, there doesn't seem to be anything around, or not too much local. It's quite a newly built area. There doesn't seem to be any local cafes or anything like that. So I'm just going to meander into the centre, get a little pastry or something, and then start my day. And yeah, it's looking like a very, very nice morning. Hopefully it's going to stay like this for the rest of the day. 9, 20 past 9, and it's getting quite warm. It's very pleasant. I'm here in the Schlossplatz, which is the largest city square in Stuttgart. Behind me is, I couldn't actually find what that originally was, but now it's basically a shopping mall. There's some more shops behind me here, and then we go around, all the way around. There is the Neues Schloss, which was the new palace. We'll go around there in a minute. And then behind here, somewhere behind those trees, is the Alter Schloss, the original palace for the Dukes of Württemberg and eventually the Kings of Württemberg. So it's already very pleasant. There's quite a few people out enjoying the sun on the benches. I've had to take my jumper off, and it's looking like it's going to be a really nice day. Having a good tour of the city. So let's get on with it. This is the Neues Stadtschloss, the new state palace, the new royal palace. It was built in the 18th century in the Baroque style. It's actually built between 1746 and 1807. It took a long time, obviously, but there's a reason for that. So it was built for Duke Charles Eugene. He actually became Duke at 9, and this palace was started when he was 16. One of the reasons for the long construction process was because for 10 years he moved out of the city and lived in Ludwigsburg, and that was in 1674. He did actually eventually live here, but it was never completed during his lifetime. He died in 1793, but it was used by his two brothers who succeeded him, Louis and Frederick II, and then Frederick's son, Frederick III, who actually became the King of Württemberg between 1806 and 1816. So yeah, as I say, this is the new one. The Alter Schloss is just around the corner, so they've kept everything within the same sort of location, I guess for political reasons. So we're going to head back round into the main square and check out the Alter Schloss. And behind me there is the Alter Schloss, the old palace. It was originally built in 950. Although there's obviously been various different phases of rebuilding over the years. From the 14th century, it was the home of the Counts of Württemberg. These days, it's the home of the Landesmuseum, or the State Museum, and has, you know, a lot of artifacts from, say, the Roman period and even Stone Age period. But it also has the crown jewels of Württemberg, so that would be pretty interesting thing to see. It's not top of my list of museums to visit, but I'll probably have time later, so I'll probably pop in later on in the day. This was the birthplace of Georg Hegel, the great 18th to 19th century German philosopher. Born here on the 27th of August 1717, lived here until he was 18 years old. Now, I'm not a philosophy student or a great philosophy reader, so I'm not going to pretend I know what his work was about, whether he's left-wing or right-wing. I'm sure both sides claim him in some way. There's some weird interpretations that say he's one or the other, but also if you like, if philosophy is your thing, then this has got to be a definite top of the list place to visit. So let's go in and to learn life about this great philosophical thinker. bit disappointing actually. There wasn't really much in it. A few of his letters, diary or two, some of his books he owned, early copies of his work, but it wasn't really that much. It wasn't like the Beethoven Museum, which I guess would be easier with Beethoven because he had musical instruments, but you didn't really get an idea of Hegel's life either. So yeah, I guess you've got to be a real philosophy nut to want to come here, but if you're not, then this is probably one you could give a miss. Bit disappointing, but never mind. So onwards to the next location. Tell from all the shots that this is not the most picturesque city I've ever been to. I think it's probably suffered the same fate as British cities, heavy bombardment during World War II, and like British cities, they didn't restore what they had, not like we would say Warsaw or little bits of say Frankfurt, Hamburg. Hamburg? No, I think Hamburg did. I'm thinking somewhere else, but this isn't the chocolate box image of Germany that you expect. There's a big eclectic mix of early 20th century, mid 20th century, later brutalism, and a few 19th centuries. Not much before that though. It's always been heavy in an industrial city, and there's also been a massive amount of redevelopment in recent years. So I am now heading some food. Now I was gonna try something called Kochtofel, which is a German fast food chain that does burgers and chips, also does bratwurst and currywurst. Fortunately, the one I thought I was going to has closed down. Doesn't seem to be any other ones. So I'm going to another fast food restaurant which I had planned to go to in Geneva. I'll explain everything when I get there, assuming it's still open, of course. So back in 2002, my mate Dave and I did a week-long trip to Vienna and Bratislava. And in Vienna we saw one of these, or a few of these actually, Nordsee, which is a German basically fish and chip chain. I'm pretty sure we ate there, and it was, it was fine. And then 2014, when I was in Zurich, there was one in the train station and went there. So there's always been a little sort of iconic thing between me and Dave. And wherever I travel and I see one of these, I'll take a picture and I send it to him. So I'm going to have lunch in Nordsee, see what it's like. I know this is definitely not like British fish and chips. This is more like bird's eye fish and chips. So it's not going to be the greatest, but I do remember in 2014 it wasn't that good either. So that was 12 years ago. So let's see what it's like now. So I've gone for the Alaska pollock with some fried potatoes, tartar sauce, added a little portion of prawns, which I'm taking my life into my own hands. So without the prawns it would have been 15.99 euros, but this added about another 4 euros to it. And in terms of the drink, well, it wasn't even a full bottle of Coca-Cola. So yeah, not brilliant, but hopefully it'll taste good and hopefully this won't cause me any problems. Well, actually it's not too bad. It's all cooked properly, thank God. It's actually quite hot. So usually when it's left in those heater trays it can get a bit cold, but no, this is actually a good heat, as with these and with the potatoes as well. So actually not too bad. Let's see how I feel later though. Damn. remarkable to see just how much of it, how widespread it was throughout Europe. And we, in Britain, when we think of Celtic, we think of Welsh or Irish or Scottish. But no, this is Germany. Come over France as well, and it's all going down to Switzerland, even in Italy as well. Yeah, the sort of Celtic identity is not just a British Isles thing, it's actually very much European. And just look at the craftsmanship on this work of the helmet. This is called dead shift, question mark, so this is clearly a high status headgear. So with a sword as well. This is not run of the mill. It's almost perfectly circular, and then look at these clasps. I think they're clasps, maybe for cloaks. And obviously the sword would have been straighter, but just look at the detail here. Moving on here as well. Those necklaces. All this jewellery here. This is exquisite work for people who didn't have machine tools to work with. upstairs, that was all about the history of Württemberg from the Stone Age, prehistory, all the way up to not quite modern times, but sort of the end of the kingdom, when it became just part of Germany after World War I, and the royal family was abolished. The first floor where I am now is some more general antiquities. There's whole Greco-Roman artifacts here that aren't really, they're not from the local area. I don't think this area was actually conquered by the Romans, certainly not the Greeks. Yes, this is more of a general antiquities going into sort of more modern times. when I left the Landesmuseum in the Alte Schloss, I had to go back to the Hegel Museum because I left my guidebook there, and I completely forgot to say something about the Landesmuseum. It's a really good museum. So the top floor, the second floor, where you start, that's just an overall history of Württemberg, with going from sort of, let's say, Stone Age all the way to early modern time. I say early modern, not 20th century. And then the second floor is more sort of generic antiquities, some more Celtic stuff, also some Roman, some Greek, and it's and some various collections from around the world from the 19th century, I think. So it's a really well laid out museum. And often that's the problem I have with some museums; they're not very well laid out, and it's almost like a maze to try and get the logical sequence together. There was also a display of sort of mechanical table clocks, which I wasn't really interested in, but they have different rolling extra exhibitions. So that is definitely one to go to. It gives you a really good history of the area, some really good, interesting multimedia display. The downside is that most of the labels don't have any translations, but obviously being British and speaking English, that's something you kind of expect, which is very selfish. There are some of the panels that give an overall explanation of the artifacts. They're in English as well. But obviously, it's not great if you're Chinese either, or or Russian. So it just puts me in the same boat as everyone else. So it's just gone 4 o'clock. I might start making my way back to my hostel, have a little rest. I might even start get started on working on the first video, which I want to get up just after I get back. So I need to start doing some work on that, and then I'll be out later for some food.
I can't get you no. Young stuff don't satisfy. I fell in love with the girl, she's not shooting now. And you know the trunk is down.
Ja, aber wenn wir Politik sprechen, es war ja, ich habe nicht viel über Trumps Besuch in China gelesen, aber ein bisschen habe ich schon gelesen. Reden über Migranten, die nach Deutschland kommen,